أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I begin, as I always begin, in the name of Allah, whose grace I seek in this and all other matters. Welcome to New Moon in Gemini. Now, this particular new moon includes a conjunction with Venus in Gemini, and I have 6 planets that are ruled by Venus. So I'm particularly fond of her. And this month, because Venus is also retrograde, I'm going to place at the center of my altar some things that are in pairs. Sometimes when I'm placing items, I think about whether I want to emphasize the masculine or the feminine, and I move the items according to that emphasis. And this month, as I said, I want to emphasize. So the Sheikh doesn't want to go over there. I think I'm going to have to move him because he is not he's not happy. I don't quite know why. So that means that he's going to need some help. Yeah, he's definitely going to need some help. He's blowing out the candle. I'm also starting with the candles because I just learned something very interesting about the other sign that I have in duplicate, and that is Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Moon, and Mars. And I just learned that Sagittarius, like Libra, which I have 5 signs in, they're both masculine. But I did know Sagittarius was also masculine. And my relationship with the masculine is very heavily influenced or being influenced by, as I mentioned, this pain that I'm having on my yang side, my masculine side on my body. And I don't think that it is just physical. I think it's got another dimension to it, which I can't quite capture. So I'm hoping to find the treatment that's going to bring relief, which incorporates the significance of the masculine and feminine balance in all things. And this has impacted how I perceive of my own relationship to matters with regard to the feminine. So I picked these blossoms this morning, and they only last one day, and as I said, it's kind of what brings my altar to a living altar scenario. And just in case you don't recall from the last time that I did the altar with you, I let myself intuitively restructure these items on the basis of just how I feel to place each one when I pick them up. And then I kind of step back and I do an analysis. And I want to tell you that this method is not random. I had a Native American princess in a class one year, and she walked us through the construction of the dream catcher. You know, you've seen those commercial dream catchers. Well, they're part of the Native American traditions, and the ways in which they operate is, once again, with the elements: feathers for air, shells for water, stones for earth, and beads that are in colors representing the different races, which I thought was very interesting because it's for the nations. You string those beads on the part that hangs down after you wrap the string around a central cross, which you string around in all directions. But the placement of the stone, she taught us, you have to intuit. Just let the dream catcher itself help you to figure out where it should go. And after we all, did it in the classroom, I brought mine home, and my stone dropped out. And she says, when the stones drop out, and this is something they tell you with regard to charging your crystals and stuff like that. Sometimes they say, you want to have a certain configuration of the stars in the sky, and the moon at certain places and all of that. But the other way to charge the crystals is to return them to the earth. And on certain occasions, I actually do bring all of my objects outside and I place some on the earth to get them recharged from the earth itself. So anyway, I picked up my stone from my driveway, which is where it had dropped out of the dream catcher, and I put it on the ground in my yard for several hours, maybe even overnight. And then I picked it back up and I simply did what she did when she was in the class. You just keep going round and round and round and round and round and round until it sort of tells you to stop. You stop at the place where you're supposed to place it, and then you place it. And if it's the right place, obviously it'll stay. And if it's not, then, I've already had that experience. So when I'm placing the items, I do fiddle around with how they locate themselves, because I am very much wedded to the idea that there is a relationship between these elements, and each month tells a story about my location for that particular moon. This time, as I said, I'm putting the things in pairs and the feathers because the moon is in Gemini, which is an air sign. Venus is also in Gemini. So that was my motivation for the starting point, and then everything else falls into place relative to that starting point. And as I said, for some reason my picture of the sheikh was not wanting to stand up. And so this is the configuration for the end of Ramadan and the beginning of the Eid. So, Eid Mubarak to you and yours. I offer prayers of love and light to you and your families and to all the earth. I pray that Allah raises us from the plight of this pandemic, and I send out love and light to all those who have suffered in any way from the consequences of trying to observe some respect with regard to the practice of social distancing and the wearing of the mask. Assalamu alaikum.